Let's kick off this explainer by looking at a perfectly sized proposal that turned into a complete nightmare exactly 6 months after deployment. Picture a large enterprise customer refreshing their storage infrastructure. The pre-sales engineer ran all the sizing tools. Capacity calculations were spot on. The latency budget was verified. The proposal actually came in below the competitor price and won the deal. The customer had 2 campuses located 50 kilometers apart and required synchronous replication for business continuity. On paper, the sizing was absolutely flawless.
But then the support call came in. 6 months post-deployment, the customer core system write latency was consistently hitting 8 milliseconds. The massive problem here is that their strict service level agreement mandated a maximum of 5 milliseconds. It took 3 agonizing days just to isolate the root cause.
Here is exactly what happened. Those campuses were 50 kilometers apart. That distance created a 2.5 millisecond network round-trip time. Then, storage controller processing added 2.0 milliseconds. Finally, synchronous replication acknowledgement overhead added another 3.5 milliseconds. Add all that up, and you hit exactly 8 milliseconds. The pre-sales engineer calculated the storage capacity perfectly, but nobody stopped to evaluate the application layer latency tolerance against that strict synchronous replication requirement. The system was sized correctly, but it was designed incorrectly.
So the absolutely crucial distinction we need to make is the difference between sizing and solution design. Sizing simply answers the question of how much. How many terabytes do we need? How many cores? It is essentially a calculation process that lives purely on paper. Solution design, on the other hand, is an integration process. It answers how the whole thing will actually work, how does it integrate with existing systems, what is the operational model, what is the scaling path. Sizing dictates what you buy, while solution design dictates how that system will operate in a real production environment. Anyone can access sizing tools. The ability to actually design a solution is what sets you apart.
Every successful architecture has to balance 4 critical dimensions. First up is technical fit. Does the system meet performance targets and respect physical limits? Second is operational fit. Who is actually going to manage this system? A technically brilliant platform is completely useless if the customer lacks the team size or skill set to patch and monitor it. Third is financial fit. This means looking way past the initial purchase price to show a transparent total cost of ownership, including things like licensing and energy. Finally, we have risk fit. How exactly does the system fail? Are the recovery time objectives realistic? Skipping any one of these dimensions guarantees a disaster. It will surface in your next meeting, during deployment, or in a very painful support call down the road.
Now let's look at how presenting honest trade-offs actually builds total trust. Every architectural decision involves a trade-off. Take a concrete example like choosing between a hyper-converged option and a disaggregated option. Option A gives you lower initial cost and unified management, but your compute and storage must scale together. Option B offers independent scaling and operational flexibility, but it requires complex management and extra team training. When you present both options honestly with very clear pros and cons, you completely stop acting like a technical calculator. You instantly position yourself as a strategic advisor. That kind of conversation moves the sale into a completely different category.
To really solidify that trust, we can adapt a brilliant concept from software engineering called the Architecture Decision Record, or ADR. An ADR is simply a documentation format detailing exactly what was decided, the alternatives you considered, the rationale behind the choice, and the specific constraints shaping it. Bringing this into pre-sales creates incredibly transparent reasoning. Delivering an ADR preemptively handles objections because it proves you have rigorously interrogated your own recommendations. It also becomes an absolutely critical artifact for the post-sales handoff.
It is so important to remember that reference architectures are just starting points. They are never deliverables. Every major vendor provides validated reference templates. But just sending a PDF of a reference architecture to a customer is not solution design. Real design means taking that template and heavily modifying it to match the actual constraints of the customer environment. Pasting a standard template without understanding the specific network fabric or compliance obligations of your customer essentially guarantees a failing system.
Pre-sales does not end with a signature. It ends with a handoff. Your critical post-sales handoff needs 4 specific artifacts. Step 1 is the architecture diagram, showing the exact components and data flows. Step 2 is the decision rationale we just talked about. Step 3 covers the environment notes. And Step 4 contains honest risk notes. Providing these 4 things is the legacy you leave the implementation team. It ensures they never have to start from scratch, and they never have to ask the customer the exact same questions twice. Professionals actively evolve their architectural design skills over time across 3 distinct levels. Junior professionals usually focus on tool limits. They learn to ask how systems integrate immediately after running a sizing calculation. Mid-level professionals master trade-offs. They will always present at least 2 options with very clear pros and cons. Senior professionals, however, become engineering native. They discuss architectural constraints naturally and fluidly. At that level, the customer stops seeing you as a vendor and starts relying on you as an external architect.
Sizing has been commoditized. Architectural design has not. Everyone who can size a system sends a proposal, but the ones who actually design the solution close the deal. Think about it. Your competitor has access to the exact same sizing calculators and AI tools that you do. Arriving at the identical hardware specification is easy, but understanding a customer operational constraint deeply enough to build a working, reliable architecture is incredibly rare.
So I want to leave you with a crucial question. Does your proposal answer how the system will work, or just how big it needs to be? The next time you prepare a proposal, you need to look way beyond the raw capacity numbers. Think about the network distance. Think about the management team. Think about the actual design. Thank you for joining me for this explainer. Go out there and keep designing solutions that truly work.